Welcome back to a new post today. And the other day we had discussed about descriptive question words. So let's continue the post today with regard to evaluative or critical question words, which are actually an important part of the UPSC mains examination. So if I would like to summarize the critical question words that you would face in the UPSC mains examination or with regard to your essay questions as well, they are analyze, evaluate, justify, critically evaluate, review, assess, discuss, examine, and to what extent. So some of these words require a critical answer, so they have to look at the dimension of two for and against of every argument with regard to the particular topic. So how do you actually begin answering critical question words? This is the first stage. So first of all, in my previous videos I told you that when you study a chapter or a subject, there are three levels. So the introductory layer, the middle layer, and the core layer. Once you reach the core layer, you're well aware of the topics, you're well aware of the characteristic features, certain discussions, arguments, so on and so forth. It is then when you are able to actually answer the critical question words in your examination. As a beginner, you will find it very difficult. So as I told you that you have to reach the core layer of each chapter and subject to be good in answering critical question words, and that will take a little bit of time. So that's why I always tell my students that get your hands on the basics as soon as possible, so that you can answer questions very well. The more you take long to complete your preparation, the more longer you take to get your hands on a subject, the more long it will take you to answer such critical or tough questions. Because I told you that all the question words in the mains are not one and the same. They vary it, and you stand out in your writing skills in the examination, and also this will help you in your personality round as well, and even the prelims. So prelims is no more facts based, it is analytical, and your mains preparation will help you definitely to get through the preliminary examination very easily. So let's have a quick review of each of the critical question words. The first one is analyze. Now in analyze question words, a particular topic or an argument, you have to deconstruct the topic or the argument thoroughly to its basic points. In other words, this question word analyze requires you to break a topic or the subject which is asked in the question into fundamental parts. Once we have done this, we have to look critically at each part. That means we have to write for and against in each part, or characteristic feature, or a feature of the topic which is asked for in the question. We also can use debates and evidences to prove our point when we use for and against, that is support and the arguments which are not in support of the features. So first you have to break down the topic into simple parts, that is you have to know about what exactly is the topic and its features or characteristics, and then you have to write for and against. So this is arguments with regard to each and every feature or characteristic of the topic that is asked. So this is what is exactly your analyze. So for example, if you say analyze the working of the office of the Prime Minister, then you have to look at the role of the Prime Minister, the features, the appointment, how he is responsible to select the other ministers, his functions with regard to Council of Ministers, his function with regard to President, and his function with regard to the Parliament as well. And then we have to analyze each and every point. So this is what is called as analyze basically. Evaluate. When answering evaluate questions, you have to provide your verdict or your opinion on what extent the topic is accurately functioning or dealt with. So for example, evaluate the office of the Prime Minister or evaluate the working. When you write an examination, the examiner evaluates your answer scripts. So on what basis does he evaluate your answer script? He evaluates to see whether you have written the correct points, whether you have stuck to the question words. Similarly, when you are evaluating a topic, you have to see whether the functioning or the working of that is on par with what are its characteristic or its features, its accuracy, if any data, if you can interpret, etc. So, for example, you can also evaluate the office of the governor. Recently, the office of the governor has been very critical, or also has been in conflict with the executive of the state. So, evaluate the working of the office of the governor. So, we in evaluate questions, we may be needed to demonstrate even the extent to which we agree with any particular argument, etc. Justify. We need to explain the basis of of the arguments that we use in the answer for a particular topic, and using evidence to prove that. For example, justify that the Prime Minister is the captain of the ship, or he is primus inter pares, or he is the first among the equals. Then you have to support your answer by justifying the statement that is given. You can say that he appoints the ministers, he is the one that takes all the decisions, he heads the Council of Ministers, he heads the cabinet meeting, he is the one who is a key communicator between the ministers and the president, and such points to prove that he is first among the equals. Critically evaluate is a little bit tricky type of the question, this one. So first of all, you have to evaluate, and then you have to go into each of the argument that you provide to critically into that. You have to provide your opinion or your verdict on whether an argument or a set of findings is accurate, and this has to be done in a critical manner. So you have to look at both the sides of each argument like in critical, but then you can also give your viewpoint on what you feel about it. So provide an opinion to the extent to which the statement or the research finding is true in the question. And the key to tackling critically evaluate questions is we have to provide ample evidence and examples to support the claims. Review is nothing but summarize and recapping. For example, review the features of the parliamentary system, and then we can also discuss. So it's just not recapping or summarizing, but we can also discuss some of the points with regard to the working of the parliamentary system. Assess. We have to assess how well the parliamentary system, for example, assess the working of the parliamentary system. We have to make an informed judgment about what are the values, strength and the weaknesses of the parliamentary system. This is called as assess. So assess the working of the office of the governor, assess any scheme which the government has recently launched, etc. So we have to speak about the value, the strength and the weaknesses of that. Discuss is nothing but you can write about the topic, anything, whatever you feel like, and talk about it, what has the reason for what it has been in news, or what you feel about the topic. So it's nothing but giving your viewpoints about a topic. You're discussing in general about a topic. You're not going into specific areas. You can discuss anything about the topic, but you have to also put your viewpoints, and you also have to support your arguments if you put any with examples or evidence, etc. And examine is nothing but you have to examine the key facts and important issues concerning a topic or an argument, and this means that we have to adopt a very critical approach with regard to examination of the question. For example, examine the working of the parliamentary system. So you should know the features of the parliamentary system, and then you have to go into each feature and the working. For example, dual executive, the majority party forms the government, the executive comes from the legislature. Also there is coordination and cooperation between the legislature and the executive, so on and so forth. You have to examine the working of the parliamentary system. So we have had the parliamentary system for almost 75 years. What do you feel about the working of the parliamentary system in India, etc. So this is nothing but we have to look in the issues and facts surrounding the topic, and we have to examine them very closely. So to what extent, in essence, to questions such as what extent, we have to put this requires a very in-depth assessment of the topic as to answer what extent. Especially we have to use evidence. So one thing is common in critical question words is that you have to provide as much as possible evidence, examples to support your arguments. You should know the real-time working of the topic, and this is where your current affairs comes very, very helpful. And along with that, reading of the editorials as well, because editorials are the viewpoints of few persons who have written about a certain topic. Every day you have editorials coming up about what has happened in the previous years. Even if you don't read all the editorials, at least if you read the editorial with regard to what has happened in the previous day, but for that you should follow what has happened in the previous day with regard to the news and the current affairs. Now, critical question words which have to be answered, it's very, very important that we have to go into the current affairs and also a little more deeper into the topic once we have finished with the core layer. This will help you to stand out in your answer writing, and also the quality of your answer will improve over a period of time. Now, how do you practice these questions? As I told you, once you finish every chapter or every subject, just take a question word and try to answer each chapter or each subject or topic with regard to a group of question words. Over a period of time you get. Also, if you're reading an editorial, try to identify whether the person is evaluating the issue, he's examining the issue, he's recapping, or is summarizing. The first paragraph will always be a review, a recap, or a summarize. So there you'll get an idea of how to write review answers. And then he goes on to analyze or debate or justify or even critically examine his claim. So reading is the best way for you to get your hands on this type of question words. It will really help you, especially the newspaper and the editorials as well. Editorials also help you in your comprehension. This will help you to answer, and also you get to learn new words when you read the editorial as well. So these are the few points which I thought would help you in answering of critical question words. If you did, please do like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to comment at the end of the video, and I shall see you in my next post. Until then, it's very happy learning.